The ongoing strike by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, is 4 months old, and all parties concerned are on edge. An urgent solution is required before the situation on campuses degenerates. In this regard, the Committee of Vice-Chancellors of Nigerian universities has appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari to take charge and hasten the process of resolving the ongoing industrial disputes by ASUU and other unions in tertiary institutions in the country. At a function in Abuja, the Vice-Chancellor said they are concerned about the impact of the strike on both students and institutions. Here's some updates on ASUU strike as filled in by TVC News senior correspondent Sharon Ijason.
This was the last public appearance of the Minister for Education, Adamu, where he tried to intervene on the lingering ASUU strike before he stormed out of the meeting with students. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, resumed nationwide strike on the 14th of February 2022. The strike is to protest against the continued use of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPIS, for lecturers and refusal of the federal government to implement the 2009 renegotiated agreement that was completed in May 2021. More than 4 months after, the striking lecturers are yet to return to work. Classrooms remain shut and covered in dust as lonely walk paths symbolized the situation in public universities across the country. I met with students who looked obviously upset with the situation of things. While some refused to speak on camera, others believe that now is the time for them to resume lecture.
Knowing that all their children are abroad, I don't blame them for not caring. So whenever they are ready, they can release us.
My perspective of life has changed to an extent. I've been pursuing other things, and I can say I think my goals, like my goals before, are not my goals now.
The striking lecturers' demand include failure of the federal government to implement the 2009 renegotiated agreement with ASUU, refusal of federal government to adopt the University Transparency and Accountability Solution UTAS, the need for increased funding of state universities, and the non-payment of withheld salaries, check-off dues, and promotion arrears. Though the ASUU strike was a product of failure of successive governments to honor agreements, educationists are concerned about contribution of the Ministry of Education to efforts aimed at resolving the issues raised by the union.
Where is our Minister of Education in Nigeria? It's a sad reality. He is unavailable. He is not speaking. He is talking to no one. ASUU has been on strike.
Even if the president will compensate his friend, Adamu, with something, it shouldn't be education.
No responsible government will feel so relaxed and so indifferent about the plight of millions of students who have been at home in the last 4 months. Much more fundamentally, while these young people are idling away at home, the government and its paraphernalia are busy talking about the next election.
It's almost 5 months that students have been prevented from receiving lectures in the classrooms due to the Academic Staff Union of Universities strike. Many educationists believe that for solutions to happen and for pledges which have been made to be fulfilled by federal government, there might be a need for a special legislative budgetary allocation to be made to ensure that the lecturers get what their demands are.
Gentlemen, the Vice-Chancellors are demanding, or rather asking, for a direct involvement of President Buhari in this matter. How achievable is this?
I think what the VC said, their demand is a legitimate demand. I commend them for that position. Because this strike we are talking about is affecting the most important industry in Nigeria, that is the knowledge industry, where the future of this country is hatched. So in terms of the human resources, in terms of industry, in terms of creativity, in terms of art, science, So for this, thing to go on and on and on, apart from affecting the personal career of the students, it will dislocate the family economy because you can't plan, you know, and also, of course, it's going to affect the future of the country in the long run. I can assure you many of these students will have been forced to relocate from the country. A lot of university lecturers, some in the best in their field, will have relocated to Togo, to Ghana, even to Lebanon.
Benin Republic.
Yeah, Benin Republic, South Africa, US. And that's why you see that most of our best brains, they hardly stay in this country. Even students who make first class, in fact, they will call, they will give them automatic scholarship abroad. So we produce the best. We are becoming the dumping ground for the worst. So I think I commend what the demand of the VCs. And I think we would like to see the president to speak, if just for once, on this ASUU strike, on this ASUU issue. It's a very important issue. I assume the president is also concerned.
And I even assume that they are asking for a sit-down with the president.
Yes. It gives them a moral, even if it does not translate to immediate gain, but it gives them some sense of, hope that, look, the president of this country is concerned, is sitting down with us. They want to hear, what he needs to say. So I think I'm really, I feel embarrassed that the president has not, found it necessary to invite them. Even though he had invited, you see when somebody wins an election because the governor, the next is he goes to see the president. Somebody will want to swear in the minister, he sees the president. So I think it is time for the president to sit down with ASUU. I think we are looking forward to that, and I hope something good will come out of it.
All right, Bolaji, we heard one of the students saying, my goals before are no longer my goals. And I know ASUU had done 6 months before, but this is looking like one of the longest, or actually the longest university strike in the country.
One of the longest. We've had more than 6 months of during the military days. We've had something longer, but unfortunately, we are not supposed to be experiencing this. And the question that really comes to mind is this. Are people that are supposed to be concerned, the Minister of Education, the National Assembly, the Presidency, are they not concerned? Are they comfortable with the fact that the universities are locked up, are closed? So if they are concerned, why have they kept quiet since? People will say that it's because some of them don't have the children here. But the fact is that you are presiding over the affairs of this country. You are a representative of the people. And so why is it that you are not taking any action to ensure that the people, the children of these people that you are presiding over are in the universities? Because the Bible has said it. An idle hand is the devil's workshop. That's when you see all these boys engaging in different activities because they are not doing anything. I'm concerned, and I hope that the president is going to heed the appeal of the Vice-Chancellors. But I'm concerned that even the minister is not even saying anything. And even ASUU on the own part, I was reading something about what the Labour Minister said in Biggie, that, look, why is it that every time it's strike? The first thing they do is just go on strike, have to give a warning strike. That strike should be the last resort. They could do picketing, this and that. But so all these things we have to take.
Well, it looks like that's the only language, because for them, they say that's the only language our leaders understand.
Yeah, but what has that got us now? This is about 5 months that they have been out there, out of school.
All right, let me come to BKO. Many have argued that the problem is not about inadequate resources, but wrong prioritization. BKO, what's your take about this?
Yes, but we also have to be mindful of the fact that when we were younger, the universities were better managed, the universities were better funded. One of the first things that politicians, when they get to the Senate and House of Reps, think of doing is to ensure the setting up of a federal university in their constituency. They believe that this is part of giving back to their constituency. This is part of the democracy dividends. But the resources are shrinking and universities are suffering from lack of sufficient funding. Universities like the University of Lagos, Nsukka, and some of the first generation universities with rich alumni, they are getting by. A lot of the infrastructure in place in Unilag was thanks to the hard work of the Alumni Association. They have some very big ex-students and who have so much money, and they are helping out with structures on the campus. And so the university has some funding that smaller universities don't have. So even if we admit to an extent that we have never prioritized education, the UNESCO ceiling or the UNESCO percentage of funding from the budget that should go to education as prescribed by the UNESCO, we have never met it. We did a little bit, we did well under the Jonathan era. But since Jonathan left, our funding of education has continued to recede. So I believe that, yes, we are not even funding education enough, but the more federal universities we have, the greater the burden of funding them. I saw a federal university the other day. There is no third road in any part of the campus. The university does not enjoy public electricity supply. Once it is 5:30, the school officially closes. Everybody goes home. There's no perimeter fencing around the university premises, which means that the students are even liable to be kidnapped by bandits. So funding will definitely not be sufficient when we are proliferating universities. We are building so many universities, probably more than we even need at this time. But I also want to believe that at this stage, Nigerians need to pay more for education, especially public education. I'm not saying that it cannot be subsidized, but at least Nigerians need to pay more. Otherwise, we will continue to have the problems that we have. But ASUU's problems are not just about money. ASUU is asking for IPPIS to be put aside and for UTAS to be brought back, to be used instead of IPPIS, because the IPPIS is not flexible for the university community. But as far as they are concerned, the UTAS is more flexible for the university environment, because for IPPIS is you can only draw salary, you can only get paid in only one place. But university lecturers like to do sabbatical in other universities, and they will expect to be paid during that period. IPPIS does not allow for this kind of thing. And all over the world, scholarly work is done even outside your own. A lot of scholarly work is done outside your own university premises. You go abroad to be resident, to be visiting lecturer, and then you earn money, you do a lot more publishing and all that in a period. They are saying that IPPIS does not allow for that kind of flexibility. The IPPIS recognizes even the age of retirement at 60, whereas the university lecturers by law can remain at work up to 65 years, not what's obtained in the Federal Civil Service. So there is that flexibility that is the problem. And they are saying, let us have UTAS. But the Minister of Education has said that only the president can take a decision on whether to accept UTAS or not. ASUU is asking for just two things this time around. Stop rolling us for IPPIS, let us have UTAS, and let's have the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement. So because the minister said only the president can take the decision on UTAS, that was why those VC said the president should come in at this point. Because left for the minister,
I'll be back
to
you.
to decide.
Okay, BKO, I'll be back to you. But then let's have Uche from Abeokuta.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, this is Uche calling from Abeokuta in Ogun State.
All right, thank you, Uche. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think just like Babajida just said, the the ASUU, this time around, you know, many a times they are always blackmailed, you know, and this time around they refuse to be blackmailed by this government. Now, how can you enroll somebody in IPPS? Now, this IPPS in question now is questionable because this same IPPS that the federal government said that is good. Now, this same IPPS is the same IPPS that is sitting, and the accountant general was able to sum of 80 billion. And
all right, thank you very much, Uche. Now, Adewale, let me come to you. BK already talked about funding. Yeah. And according to United Nations, there is a recommendation that 26% of the national budget should be invested in education. And BK has said now, Nigerians need to pay more. Whether subsidy or not, Nigerians still need to pay more. Is that a way out of all of this quagmire?
Yes. Nigerians, let me just put it broadly, Nigerians need to make sacrifices. But also, our leaders need to make more sacrifices. Okay. I think that is where we need to strike a balance. You know, Nigerians want to see those elected more accountable, to live a Spartan life. You know, not when we make sacrifices. At the end of the day, we see our leaders riding in, the biggest cars. Traveling abroad for holidays and.
Adewale, Nigerians will say making sacrifices is not the problem. Yeah. But we need to see the impact of the sacrifices we're making.
You know, we need to see the impact, not in the form of the number of houses our leaders are building, but in terms of infrastructure, electricity. We have not been able to solve electricity problem in the past 23 years. I'm even counting from 1999. So what is the excuse? In fact, today is worse. Most places, the whole day, no light, or sometimes 3 hours in a day. So in what area is government really relevant? Is it security? Are you talking of roads? Are you talking of water? You know, and whereas the people that are elected, they get all these things free. You know, if you have a government, the first thing the government does is to buy new cars costing about 20 million for House of Assembly, for senators. They have money for constituency allowance for senators, House of Rep, but they cannot meet basic needs of the people. So when we are calling on people to make sacrifices, it should also be backed up with the fact that we want to see accountability on the part of those that have been elected to lead us.
All right, Balaji, let me come to you now. Is it ineptitude of past leaders that some of the most critical sectors in our country suffer the most, and especially when it comes to basic welfare packages?
Well, it's about attitude. It's about the way you look at those things that are supposed to be under your purview. You know, when you look at what Jide was saying and what you said there, 26% allocated budgetary allocation for education, 6% GDP education. Nigeria has never made that. Nigeria only does 6% of the budget for education, which is quite unfortunate. See, and also there's something that we need to understand. There's this disconnect between the town and the gown, you know, the universities and the society. The society is there, and the universities is there, but you see, there should be a synergy. There should be a kind of, you know, the universities is where ideas are given birth to. And if you are saying this is where ideas are given birth to, where we are training people, where we have lecturers, that they are supposed to be able to give ideas to the society. That look, once the ideas are here, using in the society, they have there's something they come up with, maybe a design, patent it, give it to society, and but you see, we hardly ever feel this impact. I feel that the problem is everybody's problem. It's not only the government's problem. Even our university people, the problem is theirs too. Because I can't imagine a vice-chancellor just sitting down there all the time and waiting for allocation from the federal government all the time to run his university. And you see, I remember some years back in Unilag, the vice-chancellor there, I think it was Omotola, he started something. Students could engage in some little bit of work and all those things that make money, generate money for the university and all those things. That's creativity. Most of our universities are not doing that. Most of our VCs are not doing that. They are only waiting for the federal government. But you see, like I took up one of the lecturers in UI at the time over this. He said there's a restriction to what the university can also bring, or anybody can bring to the university, or the vice chancellor can also take. I don't know. I've not seen the law, But if there is a restriction that is impeding the fact that they cannot go to the society to source of funds, to source of money, to run the university, then the government should look into this again. It's very unfortunate. We need someone that will understand that education is very crucial. It's very important for this country to be where it should be. If you don't have a leadership that believes that education is the ultimate, then we are going to be having this kind of problem. They're outside there for about 4 or 5 months now.
Okay.
Nobody's doing anything about it. It's because they don't feel it's a major issue. But it is a major issue because these are young people. It's about their future. And from the statistics, Nigeria is a youth society, sort of.
Absolutely.
We have over from age 18, we have about nearly 80% of Nigerian population that's within that age range. That's why it's called youth society or youth populated society. And there's a need to do something about it. Very, very important.
All right, Adewale.
Yeah, Bolaji is a very important issue. The disconnect between the universities and the corporate world. In other countries, you see that big companies, they fund research in the universities. And when they do a design, they produce it and commercialize it, and then the university gets a commission on that.
Okay, so what could be responsible for this lack of synergy?
What we are seeing is gradual failure of leadership, that this is no longer happening. If you go to the engineering department at the University of Nigeria and Soka that I know, they design a lot of things, mosquito repeller, even telephone, in those days, But to now, to commercialize it, you need corporate organizations that be able to fund, and then the universities will get something in return. That's what is going on all over. And it's a knowledge economy that is in billions of dollars. So the universities need to reach out to the corporate world. The corporate world should also be more responsible, not just funding professorial shares, but also to invest in research. If you are talking about COVID-19 vaccine and all that, these are the areas we expect the universities to be more, if you can produce the vaccine, the university will make millions of dollars from it. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's not just about government. We need a complete overhaul of the university system. A university that is completely dependent and it's it's less active when you're talking about productive services.
All right, BKO. Okay, please go ahead before I go to
Okay, you see, there's another thing. When you look at our politicians, they say they are doing empowerment. You see them bringing motorcycles, giving people motorcycles. Is that what they're supposed to be doing? The other day, I wanted to contest, and I said, what could I make a difference? There was an advert I saw by this Chinese company. They had these planters. There's only one person that can operate it. The guy will enter to operate it and start making ridges. He has the same machine will plant things for you. There's another machine that will. Why can't our politicians go into this kind of thing instead of giving motorcycles to people and endangering their lives? Because when you go to these motorcycles are just all over the place. But there are people, there are farmers there. They are still going there, burning there with this traditional method of farming. That you could go and empower all these things. They are not doing all these things. You see, so these are the problems, and it's the same thing that has affected the education system in this country. They are not doing the right thing. If they are doing the right thing, we shouldn't have our children. We shouldn't have the students being out at this time for 4 or 5 months, and nobody's caring about that. It's very unfortunate.
All right, BKO. I would like to. Adewale spoke about synergy between ASUU and Nigerian universities and corporate bodies, especially when it comes to funding. I'd like to have your reactions, your take on that.
Yes, a good number of the universities have benefited tremendously from the corporate Nigeria. But in the season of proliferation of universities, you will find that a good number of them can't even do business with the outside world. In some remote local governments in northern Nigeria, for example, federal universities have been set up. What kind of money can they generate at that level? That's why some of the demands of ASUU have to do with proliferation of state and federal universities. They are saying that it has to stop. And it's one of the reasons we can't find sufficient funding for the universities that we have today. I can tell you that next year, we will hear about some federal universities that they are going to set up again. You've not been able to fund the federal universities that you have, yet you are thinking of setting up new ones. Where are you going to find the money? And some of them, where they are located, you cannot even, they can't do the kind of business that Lagos University, for example, can do. They don't have the big alumni that can endow chairs, professorial chairs that they can make money off them. So there are all kinds of problems. Look at Abia State, for example. They were owing, the state government was owing their doctors, the doctors and their state university. They were owing them more than 5 months' salary. It was one of the concerns of ASUU. So if you have so many universities and you can't even pay medical doctors working in the teaching hospitals of some of those universities, what then? Why are you setting up those universities? Let us equip the ones that we have sufficiently. Let us fund them properly, because you have to position them to be centers of research and to be centers of excellence. Some of the universities that I've seen, I'm sorry to say, some of the federal universities, they can never be centers of research or centers of excellence. There's nothing in some of those universities. A few of the buildings that they have thanks to TED funds. And they are not even enough. So it should not be quantity that should bother us, but quality. But the way it is, our politicians are just interested in setting up universities all over the place. It's one of the key demands that ASUU has made. People will condemn ASUU for going on strike, but they don't want to condemn government for refusing to honor its agreement. Before, in December 2020, there was a memorandum of action that was signed between ASUU and the government. All of those things that the government promised to do in that memorandum of action, they refused to do it. And after that, ASUU then came up with a warning strike to draw attention to the fact that, look, you have refused to do the things that you promised to do. In spite of that, we are still here. So the president has to do the needful. If he would today say, okay, we disenroll the university system from IPPIS, I'm sure this strike will come to an end. And the conversations about renegotiation of their wages can continue. How many of us will be happy to be on the same salary since 2009? But that's what these lecturers are going through. Their salaries have not been renegotiated since 2009. And we don't want them to complain. We want them to be happy to bring up children of other people, including children of millionaires and billionaires. It's just not right. There's no fairness in this whole thing. There's no fairness.
All right, thank you very much, BKO. Thank you, gentlemen. But we do hope that the president heeds to the call by this vice-chancellor, so that at least there's a headway in all of this issue.